I think the skunks got dibs on the basement. They're the top of the food chain. Okay, raccoonies, you ready for your crunchies? I got some crunchies. It's not that much, but it's enough to keep you guys happy for a minute. There you go. There's a line of crunchies for you to jump into. Crunchies for the raccoons. This thing on. Is this thing on? Check. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Testy, testy. 1, 2. Are these things on? Testy, testy. 1, 2. Are these things on? Testy, testy. 1, 2. Hi, raccoons. Want to see the raccoons? Nobody? Hey, nobody. Look at the raccoons. Look at, they're so cute, and they're eating their crunchies. Aw, where's the rest of them? There was 4 of you a minute ago. Well, that's more for you two, huh? You got baby and mama, big mama. Crunch away, raccoonies, crunch away. The sound of 2 raccoons crunching. Cat kibble. Crunching cat kibble. One night, the raccoons were making crunching noises in glee. Crunch away, raccoons. You're so cute. Why do you guys have to be so cute? See, patience pays off, huh, raccoons? I told you I'd get you some crunchies over there, the rest of your gang. Good thing they showed up before it was all gone. Hey, guys. Told you I'd get you some. You had little faith. You weren't even going to come back until you heard your brothers crunching. Crunching on the kibble. Crunching on the kibble. I met some raccoons in the country. Crunching on the kibble every night and day. They don't have to worry, the kibble keeps on coming. You see them raccoons crunching away. Raccoons keep on coming. Kibble, kibble, keep on crunching. Crunching, crunching, crunching on the kibble. And my raccoons eat kitty crunchy kibble. They don't give a damn if it's meant for raccoons. They'll eat anything, they'll eat out of the garbage. They'll even eat out of your dinner spoon. They'll eat the food right off your plate. They'll grab your box of cookies and run away. You can't trust these raccoons, but you can love them. You can't trust them, but you can love them. Little backstabbing raccoons, they'll steal your only box of cookies and run away. I haven't forgotten about that. Nope. Good thing Brittany was watching and saved my cookies. You guys would have been dead meat. You would have never had any crunchies from me ever again. We got our super beaver moon waning. It's waning. This is my super beaver moon named Wayne. Nice to meet you, Wayne. My super beaver moon named Wayne. Have a nice Wayne, super beaver moon. Super beaver moon. There's so many different moons nowadays. You have to like take a class in moon didactics. And a moon. You got to take a class in moon phonics to know all the moon isms that have spawned over the past few years. It's like we have a different moon every month. It's a raspberry turtle moon. It's a corduroy fucking upside down moon. It's the super wolf moon. The Hunter Biden moon. It's the new moon on a spoon. The dark side of the spoon moon. It's the moon tune. I'm gonna play a moon tune right now. It's a tune about the moon. about some people that claim they went to the moon. Way back in the early 1970s, we made one of the greatest scientific discoveries when we sent our bravest men up to the moon to find out what the moon is all about. And they were quite surprised to find the golf course in the sky. They said it must have been a golf course this whole time. And they were quite amazed, so they brought their golf clubs up there. Yeah, and teed off on the moon, and then they got in their little golf cart and rode off to the next hole, and then they stuck their little flag in the ground, and then they called up the president from the golf course payphone and said, hey there, Nixon, what do you think about this golf course in the sky? They said it must have been a golf course this whole time. He said, I'm proud of you boys, now play a good game of golf and get your ass back home. We don't want nothing bad to happen to you boys while you're out there on the moon. And we're so proud of you for finding the golf course in the sky. My goodness, a helicopter in the sky. There's two helicopters in the sky. What are they doing? Where are they going? I don't know. They're rather low. Anyways. Aha, you fool. No one's ever been to the moon. Aha, you're a fool. No one's ever been to the moon. Aha, you're a fool. No one's ever been to the moon. Haha, you're a fool if you believe that. Well, I'm sorry about your luck, but the truth has come to light, and no one believes it anymore, and you should catch up with the times. You see, 'cause people are waking up, and pretty soon the whole world will know we're not flying through space, zipping around the sun. No, we're just sitting here on Earth, the only place there is to be, and we're not living on the outside of a ball. No, sir, not at all. And once you realize that you're not spinning through space, everything just falls gently back into place. And there ain't no golf course in the sky. Ah, you're a fool. No one's ever been to the moon. Ah, you're a fool. If you believe they went to place you can go. It's kind of like going to the rainbow. You never really arrive 'cause it goes with you. And you know the funny thing about a rainbow is it disappears and so does the moon. They're not places that you can travel to at all. But if you want to try, well, more power to you there, my friend. I ain't gonna try to tell you to stop, but there's only one thing you should know. If you make it to the moon, you better land on top. Yeah, it's the only place you'll be able to land on the moon is on the top, 'cause it's real. Reality is you can land on top of a ball, but you're gonna fall off if you land anywhere else. Got no reason to believe you can land on the side of a ball or on the bottom of the ball. No, you will just fall off. We don't live in a reality where people can be living on the outside of a ball without falling off. So if you make it to the moon, there's only one thing I can tell you to do. I'll not tell you to stop, I just ask you to land on top. Otherwise you're gonna fall off. Alright, that's enough of that dumb shit. Tell you something you don't already know. Well, there's only one place you can go. It's called Earth. You're not leaving the Earth. You can leave the surface of the Earth, but you're gonna have to come back down to the surface of the Earth eventually, because what goes up comes back down. You can only fly around for so long till you run out of power, fuel, energy, whatever. We're earthbound beings. We're just meant to be right here on the surface of the planar Earth. Indeed. And the thing is, nobody that lives here really believes the Earth is a ball. No, they don't. Well, sure they do in their mind when they go about answering questions on a test or when they have to get in a conversation with somebody and prove they had an education. They're going to have to give you this certain answers about Earth being a ball and motion around the sun, flying through the galaxy and the universe and all this shit. But when it comes to interacting with the Earth and actually living on it, nobody thinks it's a ball. Everybody intuitively knows the Earth is a plane, a level plane that spreads out in every direction. And the thing is, they don't even realize that they're flat earthers. They don't even realize it. They never thought about it, except for the flat earthers, of course. But I'm saying the people that think they live on a globe when they're forced to answer the question, "What is the Earth? Is it a?" They'll be like, "Oh, it's a globe," But then when they go about living on it, they're not busy thinking or like accounting for it being a globe. They're not thinking, "Oh, we're going to land this jet airplane. We better factor in the rotation and figure out which way to land based on the rotation, and we better make sure we adjust for the curvature and all this shit." Nobody has to do that. Curvature and motion of the Earth are two things that nobody's ever once had to worry about or factor into their lives whatsoever at all, ever, or ever will. And it's because it's a non-existent variable that you don't have to worry about. And for all the globe believers, they're going to be like, well, it's because it's curving so gradually and because gravity holds it in relation to it, so you never, okay? And it's because the curve is so gradual and the motion is so gradual, you never really notice it. You're just always going to feel like you're standing on a stationary level plane. But it's not because it's a stationary level plane. No, it's because it's so gradual and so small. So gradual, and you're so small and it's so big. Okay, either that or it's just what it is, what it looks like to be. Thing is, if I were to hire people to go out and make concentric circles on the face of the Earth, I'm going to hire you to do this. I'm going to pay you per circle. concentric circles are circles around circles. Like if you were to draw a circle on the ground and you draw a circle around the outside of it, that's how you start concentric circles. They get bigger as you spread out. You start right in the middle, and right where you start is the middle of your concentric circles that you're going to go about drawing on the earth. They're going to get bigger the further away you get from the center. Each circle gets bigger and they start to spread out and cover and encompass more area. The circles grow and grow and grow and grow. And you're getting paid per unit, so it's like the incentive to continue is you're just getting paid, so the bigger the circle, the more money you're going to make. So you just become accustomed to like making more money every time. It takes longer to get all the way back to where you started, but you're going to get that much more money because it's a bigger circle every time. And you go about this for your whole entire life, and it becomes like intuitive understanding. Everybody's doing this, quite aware that the next circle is always going to be bigger. It makes perfect sense. It's logical. It's intuitive. You're traveling around the outside of the circle you made before, so therefore you're encompassing a larger area, so the circle will have to be a bigger circle every time, all the way out. There's no exception to that. So since everybody intuitively understands this fact that the circles just get bigger all the way out, then the Earth's surface cannot form a sphere. Nope, because on a sphere, the biggest circle you'll draw is right there at the median, and then the circles have to start getting smaller somehow because you live on a ball. But the thing is, nobody would ever expect that in real life. That would be counter to what we all expect to be reality. Nobody would ever expect that. That's just, but that's what the globe would have to, that's the results you would have to get on a globe Earth. I don't know how that would look in real life when you're like living in a situation where you're on a ball, but your orientation is always upright no matter where you are, no matter who you are on the ball. At all times, everyone's always on the top. That creates a situation where there's some strange anomalies that will have to occur, such as the expanding circle thought exercise like I was talking about. We all intuitively know that each time you draw a new circle, you're encompassing a larger area, so every new circle is going to have to be bigger. So to say that eventually those circles will start to shrink, that's counter to our intuitive understanding of the area that we're working on. It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't compute. It does if you live on a ball. That's what you would have to see, but nonetheless, it's starkly opposed to what we all expect to be reality. We live on a planar surface. Nobody ever thinks of it as being a globe when they're busy living on it. In their mind they do, but when they're busy interacting with it and measuring it and doing things, nope. Everybody's a flat earther. They just don't realize it. And they're bitter about it. If I mention this to some people, they'll get mad and start telling me I'm dumb. But I'm just like, well, you're just failing to address the things I'm saying. The way I explained it just now, it's pretty easy to understand. You don't really have much of an argument against what I said. The only thing you can say is like, well, we know the circles will start to get smaller because Earth is a globe. You can't, it's not proof. It's like, you can't prove the Earth is a globe by saying Earth is a globe. What you have to do is you have to disprove what I just said, which is the circles are always going to get bigger. What I've had people do is they'll show me on the globe, see, look, the circles get bigger, but then they start to get smaller. I'm like, I know, I just explained that. What I'm saying that is, in reality, that's going to be you'll be hard-pressed to make that result occur in reality, because in reality, here on the surface of the Earth, there are real places with real measurements that you could make around them. Those measurements will never change. If you're surveying the Earth and you're adding more and more Earth in, you could call the circles like a way of surveying Earth. And it's like every time you're adding more, never subtracting. So the perimeter around that will necessarily always be growing. You'll never be subtracting. You'll never see a smaller, you'll never shrink, because you're adding more. What I'm saying is the idea that a perimeter could expand, but only wide enough, at the median of the Earth, and then it's going to start to shrink somehow. that's counterintuitive to the extreme. I mean, because we'll still be adding more, but the perimeter will be shrinking, and that's because now we're going to be, the perimeter we're making is actually around the area that we haven't surveyed yet. That's just a head fuck. That's not what we would see in real life. Like, if you were to start making these concentric circles, you start off with one little circle, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, but you're going to end with one little circle on a globe, that is. But that's just crazy. That's crazy talk. That's just crazy talk. It's not sane. It's not something a sane person would ever assume would happen. No. Just an indoctrinated person. But even the indoctrinated people don't get it. I'll try to explain this to them, and they'll be like, oh, well, no, they just get bigger. I'm like, yeah, but you're looking at the Earth as though it were flat. I've had, like, well-known globe proponents walk right into my trap. I'll be like, so if the circles just get bigger? They're like, yeah, well, why are you talking about this? I'm like, well, I'm just making sure that you think of the Earth the same way I do. And it turns out you do, and I'm a flat earther, so welcome to Flat Earth. They never see it coming. They don't like it. They don't appreciate that when I say that last part. They're like, wait, what do you mean? That's when the backpedaling starts. Oh no, well, the circles can only get so big. I was like, well, that's not what you said a minute ago. We walked through this together, and you were like in agreement with me all the way through it until you realized I said, welcome to Flat Earth. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, whoa, hold on a second. Let me rethink everything you just said. I'm going to go with the other answer now. Because you're just afraid to be a flat earther. That's what it is. It's just about your social anxiety. It's not about, like, truth. But that's why I have 0 people watching me, because they're afraid. They're afraid of the things I say. They don't want to come to terms with their reality. It's a scary thing to do. For some people. I can't be fooled. I've never been duped in my whole life. It's impossible. Go away, you crazy flat earther. You know, the more money you shovel at NASA, the more rinky-dink they get. It's like, the more money you shovel at NASA, the more rinky-dink they get. It almost appears to be low budget. But $80 million a day is an awful lot of money to pay to get such a cheesy presentation of the International Space Station. And they do their spacewalks. I think they're in a swimming pool on Earth when I see those bubbles in space. Bubbles in space. And I see the duper's look of delight on their face. They do the science of deception. Oh, for shame. They got a lot of hairspray. You gotta use a lot of hairspray to make your hair look that way. But the more money you shovel at NASA, the more rinky-dink they get. It almost appears to be low budget. Yeah, but $80 million a day. You think you'd have a lot more to say for yourself, but you never get anything of substance from these clowns. They just give you a bunch of fluffy pillow talk. It's all about the youth and the inspiration to try brave things, and explore and push the envelope. But it's just like Disneyland for adults. requires a suspension of disbelief. You can't be asking any questions or throw a critical eye on it. No, sirree. And the more money you shovel at NASA, the more rinky-dink they get. It pretty much appears to be an absolute pile of horseshit. That's my opinion. It's pretty much fact-based opinions. I'm sharing with you fact-based opinions. That's where I'm coming from. I don't have the need to be taking anyone at their word. And trust me, bro, type science got to go. No way, I don't trust you, bro. You work for the government. That's not a good idea to trust anyone from the mind control entity known as government. If you let the government govern your mental condition, you're just a mousinized man of the system. Are you a man or a mouse, or a mousinized man, or a humanized mouse? It's all the same can of worms. Are you a wormanized man, humanized worm? Are you a humanized worm? Happy Joy Joy, what's up? That's right. You're the only cool person in the crowd. You get the magic wrench of cool club status. I think you're the first person to get a wrench on my channel. Maybe that's not true. I might have had live streams on this channel in the long ago. But the reason I'm streaming on this channel now is because my Dr. Bass Ackwards channel got censored yesterday. I got a strike. I got in trouble. They struck me down. They're like, no more posting or streaming or none of that fun stuff for you. That app on your phone is now off limits. You better go to your other channel that doesn't have a strike and try to stream from there, even though you don't got any subs. Neener, we got you. You know, and it's just because I said there's no planes on 9/11. And it wasn't even like I said it. I just sang it in a song. It went like this. Well, 9/11 came and went, and all the money got spent, and the laws were bent, and we never got a story that made any sense. Well, there's a terrorist attack and all that, where 2 planes knocked 3 buildings down right through the ground, flat, faster than you could clap your hands a dozen times. A 110-story building fell before your eyes twice. And let's not forget Building 7, the 47th floor building, where something quite peculiar happened as it collapsed in the exact same fashion. However, it was strange, cause it wasn't hit by planes. Until this day it remains yet to be explained. You'll never hear anyone up on the television just be like, hey, wait! 2 planes, 3 buildings, please explain. I don't understand. There wasn't any fucking planes, man. It was over before it began. It was over before it began. That's kind of how the song goes. I mean, it goes better than that a bit. That was a very rudimentary. Holy shit, did you see that? Damn, that was wild. I wish I had that on video. That was crazy, dude. That was an epic shooting star, but it looked like it was right here. That is crazy. It was so bright, and it went all the way from like halfway between the trees right there and the moon. It was just like boom, and it just went across the whole sky. It was bright as fuck. That was crazy. I should make a wish. What's my wish gonna be? I wish we get to see more. I wish for more wishes. That was neat, man. I haven't seen a shooting star like that in a while. That was crazy. I'm glad I looked up. I just finished my song and I was trying to make excuses for why it sucked, and I looked at the sky and it was all boom. Damn. Thanks, God. That was nice. That was so cool. I love it. That made me feel all giddy. Oh yeah, you're my number one fan, big time, bro. You're my only fan, which means you're number one for sure. Not to belittle that status, it's, you're number one because you discovered the Dr. Bass secret channel. Flatmate, like your flatmate, he's the guy that lives in the flat with you, your roommate. But there's some sort of implication that it's a chess game being played. Flatmate, kind of like checkmate for the Globers. Checkmate, mate. Your globe models and checkmate. That king's gonna fall. He's gotta tip that king over. He's not gonna be able to stand. You can't withstand the flat evidence. It's just slamming him in the face every day. Pretty much the only evidence the globe has is what we've been witnessing in the sky for eons. And that's pretty good evidence. I say it's quite impressive, and it's a lot of work must have gone into the designing of this model. It's by no means is it something that could ever be contrived within one generation. I mean, so much observations were stitched together to create that model. It's a very impressive piece of work. And I can go into all the details if you'd like. It's not that I'm oblivious or ignorant of the model that I'm picking apart, and I'm quite impressed with, actually, but there's too much evidence down here on the ground that conflicts with it, which is why I'm not pushing the globe model, but I can explain it pretty well. And there's a lot of really interesting stuff that's quite impressive as far as like interpreting our reality in a way that really kind of seems to make sense on one hand, like, but it's crazy though. It's abstract at the same time. Like for instance, the analemma. You go out and you put a you know put a pin where the sun's at the same time every day for a whole year. Go out at the same time every day and mark where the sun's at. You'll get that figure 8, but it's laying on its side. The analemma, as they call it. The moon has the same thing. It's called the ephemeral, and it's a figure 8 laying on its side. And you're always going to get the bigger circle, the bigger loop. It's out in the south. The south has a bigger loop, and the north has a smaller loop. Now, this could be explained on a flat Earth because the south is wider, than the north. That makes sense. But what that also is indicating is that the sun is going to arc a different way in the south. Which is like the flat Earth is confusing when it comes to all that, because really the whole place is south on a flat Earth. Like the compass is indicating there's like a central place somewhere called the north. And basically you're just always correcting to the north. That's what a compass does. And so one end of the needle is pointing at a central location. The rest of the needle is straight, by the way. That's an important thing to observe. The rest of the needle that's sweeping over the entire flat surface of the compass, that's south. It's just south, all south. And, the needle is straight. If you're going north or south, you're walking in a straight line. The needle is straight. It's implying to you that if you go in a straight line, you're never going to come back to where you'll never return. People are like, you can walk in a straight line and you'll come right back to where you started. Nope. The straight line, the compass is telling you, no, if you walk in a straight line, you'll never return. You want to walk in a circle, well, the compass will help you do that. That's what a compass does. You're going to draw a circle, well, you're going to need a compass. You put your pencil in one end, and you put the point down in the middle, and you draw yourself a circle. The north is that point, it's like, so you're correcting to the north, you're going to walk east or west, you're making a big circle. It's pretty easy. Every flat earther knows this shit, but it's like, what's important to understand is that the compass is depicting directionality on a flat plane. The needle is straight. which tells you north and south are straight lines, which also tells you that you can't, if you walk in a straight line, you're never going to come back to where you started. You'll just, in my opinion, you'll hit a point where you can't continue. You'll hit impassable conditions, which is why nobody's ever circumnavigated north to south, which is why it's never been done. They say that the longitude lines, are actually big circles. They're all the same length, the longitude lines, the meridians. But they say they're big, giant circles. They come all the way back. The thing is, when have you ever heard somebody refer to a circle as being a long? Longitude lines or circle? Nobody's ever been like, oh, that's a long circle you just made. No. Something being a line, you'll explain a line as being a long. It's a long line. We just waded in or just walked down. It's a long line. No one's ever said, that's a long circle. No, that's just stupid. That sounds dumb. So a longitude line is a circle? No, it's just a straight line. You don't describe circles as being long. Nope. What's weird is that, lateral, the latitude lines, the latitude lines are all circles on the globe and on the flat Earth. Which is weird, like when something's lateral, it's not really implying circles either, but like, whatever. It's just, like if you're gonna take global coordinates and then superimpose them or whatever, like coordinates up from a spherical shape and then impose them on a flat surface, that's what you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with concentric circles that get bigger and bigger and bigger, that spread out so wide that at the middle you're going to have a straight line, and then that line's going to arc the other direction and then just start forming circles again, that get smaller and smaller and smaller. So the equator isn't going to be a straight line. That's why the luminaries, the sun goes over your head at the tropics, during the equinox. It's going to go straight over your head, just boom, come back the next day, just straight over your head in a straight line. It makes for a decent globe evidence, the fact that it's moving over in a straight line. Well, how's it coming back from next? How's it doing that? It's like, that's the thing. The flat earther isn't really, we're not really obliged to like explain the sky to you. That's not really what the flat earthers are. We shouldn't even have to do that. And we're describing the earth. The sky is a spirit plane for all I know. I can't go up there and tell you what's going on up there or how the dynamics of all the things in the sky. That's a mystery to me. We do see patterns and we do know what to expect when it comes to certain things, but I haven't traveled the whole earth. For me to give you like confidently tell you what the whole earth is shaped like, that's just that's a fool's errand. Nobody knows. Nobody's been all over the whole earth. But what I think is interesting is that the wobble. See, they explain the analemma and and the ephemeral as being the result of the spin of the earth and the fact that the earth is tilted while it's spinning, allegedly, according to their model. If you had a basketball and it was spinning on your finger, well, if it was just spinning on your finger like that, and that was the earth, and the poles would be, where your finger is on one of them, and the poles are like where the axis is spinning around. If it was just spinning and it was standing up without being tilted, there'd be two places on Earth you could go to at certain times of year where the sun would just sit in one spot in the sky. It would spin, but it wouldn't go anywhere. It would just be one spot in the sky for the whole summer, for the peak summer months. But we don't have places like that on Earth. If there are places where there's 24-hour suns, and it's, allegedly, I've never been there, but I'm pretty confident that that's what we got going on. And so the sun just makes a smaller circle at those places, So it's, if Earth was a ball and spinning, well then we can deduce from that the sun, it's not spinning, it's tilted while it's spinning. Because when a ball is tilted while it's spinning, it's going to cause a wobble. It's not going to be spinning perfectly even. It's going to wobble. So that's how they explain the analemma and the ephemeral and the fact that you can't go to a place on Earth and have the sun just sitting there in one spot in the sky because it's tilted and wobbling. All this like this, they just make these claims so casually. It's like, well, dude, and we're flying around the sun while everything on Earth remains perfectly undisturbed from all that. I mean, you need to, like, that's the kind of shit you need to be taught while you're a little kid. Because a grown adult's going to take that information and be like, yeah, fucking right. Hi, baby. I love you. You're pretty. I love you. But, yeah, so the indoctrination is really important here because, it's like kids will just believe, it's like, Mommy, how come if Earth is a ball, like, the people on the bottom aren't falling off? They'd be upside down, Mommy. Well, how does that work, Mommy? Oh, I'll tell you, son. It's because of magic. Oh, well, that makes sense. I get it. Wow. They don't feel upside down? No, it's because of magic. That's cool. No, flatmate. It's because of gravity. That's what I said. Magic, gravity, whatever. Same thing. It's this fictitious force that really can't be measured, or it's actually explained in the complete it's a complete inversion of what's really taking place. Because really, when it comes to a force, like a real force, when you apply a real force to something, it's going to cause, assuming that force that's being applied can cause work. Like sometimes you can apply a force on something and you don't get anything done. Like if I apply a force to this house right here, it's not doing nothing. I'm not moving it. There's a force being applied, but nothing's happening. There's no work being done. But typically, if you're going to apply a force to something, it's because you want to get something done. You're creating an acceleration. If I push on this planter right here, I'm going to create an acceleration. I'm pushing it. It causes it to move. If I'm pushing on a container with stuff in it, I push on the container, all the dense stuff inside that container is going to be pushed up against the direction where the force is coming. My hand is right here. The force is coming from right here. I'm pushing on that container. All the dense stuff inside that container is going to come up against right here where my hand is, where I'm pushing it. The dense stuff is pushed into the place where the force is coming from. Like if you step on the gas and you're in your car, you're pushed against your seat. The force is coming from behind you. Now, if there's something buoyant in that container, or in the car, for instance, if you had a helium balloon in your car with you, step on the gas, you get pushed into your seat. The force is coming from behind you. You're pushed against where that force is coming from. The helium balloon goes the other direction because the air in the car, when you add that force in the car, you're creating a density gradient. All the dense stuff in the car is going to be pushed against the back where the force is coming from. The most dense air in the car is going to be in the back, in the direction where the force is coming from. So I'm stepping on the gas. I'm pushed against the seat. All the air is being pushed into the back. Helium's lighter than air. It will be displaced in the opposite direction. It's buoyant. So it's about inertia too. The helium balloon's just sitting there, and everything's moving. Well, it's going to be displaced towards the front. It's going to be going the opposite direction. So when you have a force applied, the things that are dense are pushed against the direction where the force is coming from. I'm pushed into my seat. The force is coming from behind me. The buoyant shit's going the opposite direction. The balloon's going towards the windshield. A lot of people wouldn't expect that, but that's what happens. And so when you have a density gradient created by the force that this is like a man-made force in a car, but it's a good example, So I'm creating this force, and so I create a density gradient. Me and everything dense in the car is being pushed against the direction where the force is coming from. All the buoyant stuff is going the opposite direction. Now take that whole situation right there, and now flip it sideways, okay? Now we have the same situation. I'm being pushed against the ground. The helium balloon's going up. Just take what's happening in the car and turn it sideways. I'm being pushed against the ground. The helium balloon's going up. That's the windshield. This is the back of my seat right here on the ground. You just turn the whole thing sideways. Okay, Now that's the situation we're in right here. However, in the car, there was a force being applied, and we were going somewhere. But now here we are. I just turned that whole thing on its side, and now I'm standing here on Earth. The balloon's going up. I'm being pushed against the ground. Well, that should lead anyone who's understanding what happens when you apply a force. It should lead anyone that understands what happens with a density gradient that's created by a force to think, whoa, the force is coming from underneath me because I'm dense and I'm being pushed into it. And the helium balloon isn't dense, it's buoyant, and it's going up there. But that's just crazy. Are you saying the force is coming from under you? Well, I'm just saying that's what we know about physics. Yeah, it's called normal force. Look it up. Normal. It's so normal. It's not fictitious, though. It's normal. Something that's fictitious is not real. Something that's normal, it's real. Now, mainstream physics, they call it normal force, contact force, whatever. They say, well, this is basically showing us that the Earth is actually rising. It's accelerating upwards. But we know that that can't be what's happening. You know how we know this? Because we know that Earth is a sphere, and that wouldn't work. How could Earth be rising like that all over the whole Earth if it was a sphere? It would blow up, it would fall apart. That just can't be happening. So we can rule out the rising Earth thing, even though that's what the physics is showing us. We can rule that out. We'll have to make up an equivalency principle or kinematics or just go with some other fictitious force idea. We've got to make something up to make that to where that's not the answer, because we know that Earth is a sphere, and that wouldn't work on a sphere. So we have to throw that whole uprising Earth out the window, because that can't be true, because Earth is a sphere. This is mainstream physics. So, since we know that Earth is a sphere, we can throw out what our eyes are telling us and what our experience and what we know about physics, and we'll just call it normal force since it's so reliable. It's always there. We always weigh the same. Everything's all consistently, whatever. But the thing is, us flat earthers, we know that the Earth isn't a sphere. So we can go ahead and just accept reality. I do understand why they think the Earth is a sphere. And I think it's quite brilliant. And it must have been fun putting it together, because I'm sure they believed it. Because a circumpolar sky, like I was explaining how the sun goes over you at the equator, they're assuming all this stuff in the sky is operating under the same, whatever dynamics or functionality as we have down here. It's like we're on the physical plane here. They're assuming that all that stuff up there is also functioning in the same physical, sort of under the same laws of everything that we have to exist under here. However, they haven't gone there, and they don't know that. That's an assumption that's being made. And so that's when you start getting tangled up. That's when you start falling off a little bit. When you're making assumptions and you're factoring that into your understanding of your worldview, that's when you veer away from empirical science. When you make an assumption and you add that into your model, you're like, okay, this has to be the truth. Something is not, for me, I can't say that something is absolutely true if any part of that conclusion was reached by any kind of assumptions. I'll have to include that in my final. I'll be like, this is what we think is true, but we don't know it's true because there were some assumptions made along the line before we got here, and we haven't verified those assumptions necessarily. So we don't know that it's true. We think it is. That's about as honest as you can get. But the heliocentric model is being taught to us as fact. Yet they do still tell you that gravity is a theory. The the pulling force of gravity, the fictitious force. Yeah, that's well. It's called inversion. It's explained in complete opposition from what really is going on. And mainstream physics understands this. They know that when a force is applied, it creates a density gradient. I'm not like spitting shit that's like fucking some new science that nobody's heard before. But it's like when you start talking the big picture, and it's like basically here it is right here. Wherever like the average person's scope falls off, like we live in an infinite realm. Like between point A and point B, there's an infinite amount of space. But our scope falls off. We can't. Eventually, it gets too small for us to dissect and understand, or eventually it gets too big and we can't. We're too far away. We can't quite. It falls off. We don't know what's beyond that. So right where our scope falls off, right there, there's like this threshold of like, we know everything up until this point, and then it's just like it falls off. We can't see beyond there. It's just we don't have the scope, the ability to see past that. Well, now all of a sudden, that threshold right there, that's that's a sweet spot right there. That threshold is right there. That's where charlatans in white lab coats can come along with their eternal blank check and begin making up a bunch of fancy fairy tales to fill in the blanks for you. Oh, you don't know what happens beyond that because you can't know. But we know because we got special things that you don't have because we have all this money and all this financing and we just have a permission to do things that you don't and can't. So we'll tell you all about what's beyond your scope. And planets and asteroid belts and black holes and supernovas. It's all happening out there, but we've seen it, but you haven't. You won't because you can't go there. But like we do, we go there and we have put stuff up there, and we have access to it. But you just can take our word for it because we're the government. You can trust us. If you let the government govern your mental condition, well, you got to just factor that into the equation. Okay, we have some assumptions here, we have some science, and then we have some mind control. Let's roll that all up together. What do you got? You got nothing. You got squat. Because in a real world, in the world of reality, where there's things that are true and things that are unknowns, if you're trying to get to the unknown and find out what it is, and what you're working with is some things that are true and known, and then you have some assumptions, and then you have an entity known as mind control. Well, mind control cancels out all that other stuff. Because when you add mind control to something, anything, you could add it to anything. When mind control is added, now there's a manipulation going on. You can't trust any of the data. It's been tainted, throw it out. If you're being objective and you're being honest and looking for truth, you know that adding mind control to any equation is a fucking dumb idea. And the only reason that that would happen is because someone's trying to manipulate you. So there's no reason mind control should ever be added to any equation regarding the search for truth. If you have to factor in a government narrative and you have no way of verifying it, you got to trust the government, the mind control, well, then you're just setting yourself up for fucking not knowing the truth. Or just, you might know the truth, but you're going to know it in a way that's manipulating you. Because mind control doesn't get involved in things unless it's going to manipulate you. There's no other reason for it to get involved. That's what it does. That's what it is. So you can't take that lightly. Oh, well, the government, it just have to do it because they have the most money and whatever, dude. If you watch those ISS videos of the moon landing video and you believe that shit as being what they say it is, oh man, you just please, like, I beg of you, I urge you to just please, just humble yourself a little bit. And I know maybe I seem like I'm being arrogant or something, but no, the thing is, I'm just being like real, like, please Look at it with a critical eye. And here's what a critical eye is. I'll teach you how to think critically. This is what you do. You look at it like, is this fucking bullshit? That's all you got to do. You don't look at it like, oh, this looks pretty cool. This is interesting. Oh, I wonder what this is. No. You can't be objective like, oh, this could be true. This could not be true. No. If you want to think critically, you got to think like this. Is this fucking bullshit? Like if I'm thinking critically of somebody, I'm not thinking objectively about them. I'm not just like take it or leave it. If I'm thinking critically about someone, I'm like, I don't know about this guy. You know? I don't know about this guy. I'm throwing a critical eye on this guy here. I don't know about them. You're still willing to listen, but you're going to analyze it from the perspective of this is probably bullshit. So that's what you have to do if you want to. If you want to look at the ISS and the moon landings, you can't look at it like, oh, my heroes. No, you might as well watch a Star Wars movie or something. If you want to know the truth, though, and you want to look at it, you got to look at something the government's handing you with a critical eye, because the government means mind control. Ideally, you would never want to involve them in anything. I don't vote because I don't need a leader. You shouldn't need one either. I used to think the system we had is just what you end up with, you know? After hundreds of years of people like existing together, and this is kind of what you end up with. This is just how it works out. No, no, it goes a lot deeper than that. I would kind of excuse it in that way. I'd be like, oh, this is what you end up with when you just, you know, as a society, it grows to the size of, you know, whatever. This is just how it ends up. No, no. It wouldn't have ended up like this if there wasn't some meddling, dark forces at work that want to control you and will never be satisfied until they control your every thought and movement. And they'll always be working towards that final end of like not allowing you a speck of freedom whatsoever. And they still won't be happy. It's like you'll own nothing and be happy because you're going to be brainwashed and we're going to steal everything from you. The thing is, on the converse, they'll own everything and they still won't be happy. That's just how this world is. It's like, welcome to the meeting of the unelected leaders of the world as you know it today. These dirtbags really have a lot of nothing to say. They think they're pretty clever, but I've never been enlightened whatsoever by a word they say. And I can tell a pathological liar from a mile away. They get their young global looters, snipers and shooters, computers that can do your job, led by an old geezer with a mouthful of marbles named Klaus Schwab. Yeah, they want to take it on and leave you with nothing and tell you how to feel about it too. I don't think I ever seen a bunch of greedy Zionist Jew. I don't know, I'm kind of running out of words there. You get the idea. Zionism. Is it even really concerned with ideology? Is it more of just like a... It seems to be more of like a... More to do with like the business of just... It's more of like a... What is the word I'm trying to think of? It's like... If there's an entity that's like spiritual, they'll never behave the way the Zionists do. This is more of like a functional, like... It's more of like a understood like tyranny. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's got more of like a physical application. It's not really like so much as an ideology or like a spiritual movement. It's more of just like a... I don't know, what is it? It's like they don't give a fuck about anybody. There's nothing spiritual about it at all, from what I've seen. I don't even know the tenets of Zionism, but it seems to me just like it's like this shadowy, like it's this thing to hide behind that sounds biblical or something, but It's more of just like a cold hard, like, we're gonna take your shit and you're gonna fucking die or whatever. Like, I don't know. There's no. It's completely against humanity. I mean, the whole concept. I mean, I don't even know what the concept is really. I don't know what their religion. I mean, if it's a religion, you got me. There's nothing spiritual about it from what I can see. None of the Zionists seem to give a fuck about anyone. That's not spiritual. That's the opposite of spiritual. What do you think? Brenda, dog. You think I should talk to a doctor, Brenda? That's cute. You know what? I am a doctor. That's right. Dr. Bass Ackwards. That's right. That's who I am, Dr. Bass Ackwards, the reverse psychologist, the well hated by YouTube resident reverse psychologist. I take flipped scripts and I flip them back the way they're supposed to be, because we live in an inverted world. Well, the world isn't inverted. It's just the system that seeks to control us is throwing inversions at us and telling us it's the opposite, telling us this is how it is, when it's actually the opposite of that. You need these series of experimental jabs so you can be healthy. Okay. Once you learn reverse psychology, you're a lot better off. I knew not to get those 12 jabs or however many they're at now. I knew that was the opposite of being healthy. I knew that if I got all those jabs that I'd be the opposite of healthy. I knew it. There wasn't a speck of my being that doubted that. That doubted my conclusion. I mean, I knew for a fact that those shots were not going to make me healthy. They were going to make me unhealthy or kill me. That's why I didn't get any of them. I don't, hopefully, no, hopefully the people that got them didn't get unhealthy or die. I hope that's not what happened. You know, but I don't think it's going to help anybody. I know it won't help anybody. We can't even know what it's going to do. I mean, the stuff that we do know, what they've told you is in those shots, it's all bad. And it's all very questionable why anybody would want to put that in their body. But the thing is, they've only disclosed 50% of the ingredients. There's another half of the ingredients that nobody knows. All the people that were telling you it was safe and effective, none of those people knew what the fuck it even was. So you can't tell me something's safe and effective if you don't know what the fuck it is. So all those people that said safe and effective were all, by definition, lying. Every one of them were lying because they couldn't know it was safe and effective because they didn't know what the fuck it was. So that's where it's the people that think that way. Of course, when they see me talking and see the things that are going on in my head, they think I need to go see a doctor. When in reality, I'm thinking quite rationally. There's nothing broken here. I can see the truth, and I know that when something is unknown, it can't be declared safe and effective. If you're going to inject it into your body and you don't even know what it is, that's always going to be a bad idea. It's never going to be a good idea. You might get lucky here and there, but that's just a crapshoot. That's just a luck. That's Russian roulette. You don't know what it is, and it's coming from big pharma. It, basically could be anything. They don't even have to disclose what it is. I mean, sure, it might be totally harmless. I don't know, but you don't know. And so you should never say that it's safe and effective if you don't know what it is. They're just taking someone's word. Just trust me, bro. That's what it was. That's what it boiled down to. Wow. They sure didn't pitch it like that. They told you, we know this is safe and effective. They didn't even have any long-term data. It was all like within the 6 months. It's like, and the short-term data was awful. There was 9 pages of different diseases and fucking ailments that could possibly come from these injections. 9 pages, fine print, of different ailments and, life-threatening fucking adverse events that were documented in a very short period of time. I mean, you can't accidentally make something that potentially dangerous, you know? Maybe it's rare, but I mean, with all those different 9 pages of all those different things that can happen to you, I'm sure there's a lot of pharmaceuticals that have a lot of that. That's not to excuse it, though. I'm just saying it's like you can't accidentally make something that's going to have that many potential problems. That, I mean, you'd have to try really, what I'm saying is that you have to try really fucking hard to create something that one injection into someone's body can potentially cause that many different adverse things that are bad, that are like, some of them are crazy bad, you know, just like, I mean, I don't even want to get into it, you know, but it's like, you'd be hard pressed to come up with something that dangerous. Like, you'd have to go and seek out, you know, things that you know are bad news to end up with something that deadly, potentially, you know, I mean, granted, like, I've seen science that showed the inconsistencies of the batches. I mean, it was just like that was the biggest experiment that's been conducted on the human population and since I've been alive, and that was something to that was a sight to see, man. I swear, it's like it's been kind of brushed on. Oh, that's just old news. That's so last year or whatever. It's like, put that behind us. Yeah, I think somebody should be held accountable because that was just dastardly. That was just diabolical. I mean, in my opinion, in my have to go see a doctor opinion, I think I should go talk to a doctor. Earth ain't flat, dude. Well, yeah, it is. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not saying I know what the whole thing is. I'm just saying, like, while we're living on it, and it sure as fuck is. You know, I know what the answer, if I had to go take a science test and I was competing against Brenda, you know, who's going to get the better grade? We'd probably both get a really good grade. Because I know all that shit too, Brenda. I'm not oblivious to all that information. I'm just, you know, I'm remaining scientific the way I'm thinking about things. If I know there's certain parts of that equation that couldn't possibly have ever been verified because we're including things that are beyond our grasp, you know, like galaxies, all this crazy shit. I have to stay scientific about it. I have to know that those conclusions were reached by guesswork. They tell you themselves that they have to use guesswork. So I can't really say for a fact that I know it's true. I would be lying because I don't know. I don't want to lie. So there's no reason I should go see a doctor because of that. Now, I do understand I know all the information. Like I said, I don't think Brenda would get a better grade than me if we had to go take a test right now. I'd get all the answers right. I know all the answers. So it's not that I'm stupid and I don't, I didn't ever learn all that shit. That's not what's going on here. I know all the answers. I studied it. I'm quite aware of what the answers are. However, I also know the answers of what happens in reality. So I would get both tests right. I'd be able to answer all the questions right for the flat Earth test too, and the globe test. Hopefully, Brenda could answer the flat Earth test correctly. I mean, it's called making a steel man. Do you know the person you're arguing against? Do you know their argument inside and out? Is there something they're going to spring on you that you're not ready for? I mean, just because you don't think it's true doesn't mean you shouldn't learn it. In fact, you have to learn it in order to be able to make a judgment call on it. The judgment call comes when a person's actually smart. If a person just accepts everything that's been told to them, doesn't ever question it, doesn't ever like think for maybe a second that there's some stuff in here that, how could they even know that, you know? You don't ever once like think maybe I'm being fed something that is information that there's no way anybody could really know, but they just have to have it there so the rest of the stuff makes sense. And you don't ever, a smart person actually questions the answers that are given to them. A person who's actually going to realize that they're in a situation, okay, I've been handed all this information. Now it's my decision. I have the freedom in my own personal reality. I can now decide what I want to do with that information. I can decide that that's the truth that I will defend, you know, until my dying day. Even though there's a lot of it I can't really prove, but I'm just going to go ahead and accept that it's true because I trust the people that told me, and it seems to check out. Or I'm gonna sit there and go, you know what? I know all that stuff, but I'm not gonna. It's not the hill I'm gonna die on. I think I'm gonna I'm gonna go about living my life, and I'm gonna check all that stuff as I go, and just see if it checks out. If some of it doesn't check out, well, I'll be glad that I wasn't busy defending it. I'm just gonna, take it with a grain of salt because it came from a source that I don't trust. You should never just trust the government. No, because it's mind control. If you let the government govern your mental condition, well, you're going to think someone like me better go see a doctor. Because I'm not doing that. I'm the complete opposite of you. Whoever's letting the government govern their mental condition. Our education system came top down. So, naturally, you're not going to learn anything that hasn't been approved of by the government first. It's like it had to filter through them first before it could reach your ears. So chances are you're going to be receiving a good dose of propaganda indoctrination. Because that's how it works with governments. That's what they do. They government. And they're not, they're not interested in you knowing all the truth. Do you think if they really knew all this stuff to be true that they'd even want to tell you all that stuff? They wouldn't have any need for secret societies at that point. Anyways, thanks for watching me, Happy Joy. I'm glad somebody out there has the interest to listen to me run my mouth. I'll be back tomorrow.